waiting for it to go. Okay, there we are. Okay, hello out there in HoloCon land, and welcome, and also welcome our very special and amazing guest, Face Masterson.
Hey, Randy. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here with you.
I thank you so much for being here. It's an honor and a privilege, and we love. I know that you are so busy, and we really appreciate you taking out the time from doing good to come do more good. So
I adore you guys, and you are right there in the doing good. Like we're running just as fast as we can, right beside each other, right?
yes.
Yep.
Indeed,
Yep.
indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to that point, right? That's kind of what I want to talk about today because I know that you do so much work, and some people come to see you sometimes, and they see you selling your wonderful T-shirts, which are, by the way, a great message and a really wonderful thing, right? But I think we talked before a little bit that people aren't super sure maybe where the connection is with the T-shirts and what you do with 23 out of the 24 hours of your day.
Thank you. It's pretty much that 23 out of the 24 hours. I had a really wonderful person who Yvette. She's a member of the community. Say to me a couple weeks ago, "Oh my gosh!" When she found out about the work we do, she said, "Oh my gosh, we thought it was just T-shirts."
See, yeah.
And it's not just T-shirts,
No.
although we love our T-shirts and we love the Be Kind campaign because it's a really wonderful way that people can say, this is what I stand for. It's a message out in the world and it supports our programs.
Right.
But I can't even say the words how important this work is. What is really important are these programs. And I think with or without, any of the T-shirts, we would be finding a way to make this work.
Yeah.
As you know, it's not easy to do a nonprofit, to start a nonprofit, to keep it rolling. But it's the most urgent work I think we can be doing. And that is why I've spent more time and energy by far on this than I have on my acting career or anything else, frankly, anything in the last several months. It's an all hands on deck situation. And I'm grateful that we're still at the point where we can make a difference, but it's going to take all of us. So I'm right here in the fight.
I agree. I think it's a great way to have the message out there though, like, having people like wear something that says like, hey, I'm supportive of people, I care, like, more so than maybe something that's just like a character or whatever, which is great and good and fun. But walking around and like seeing people, wearing a T-shirt that says "Be Kind" is just so uplifting, right?
Right.
Because you feel like, okay, this person is probably a good person. I love this. You know what I mean? Like, because why would you wear that?
Thank you. One would hope it's a good point of connectivity. And the way I see it is like, you can do one or two things. The only thing that's better than wearing a Be Kind shirt is just being naked, but we can't all do that. So,
or want to.
We can't. You know what I'm saying. It's it's about the worthiest thing that you can put on your body, partly because it creates community and people know who you are at a glance, and because it supports these incredible programs. So
right. And outside even of any particular one like IP or anything, right? You can walk around with a shirt that says "Be Kind" and everyone will understand immediately, like, oh great, there, yes. Even outside of whatever. I love that.
Thank you. You guys can find them as long as we're on the subject, you can find them at bekindmerch.org.
There you go.
And
lovingly made also. We might add, right? Yes.
They are, we have an amazing team of guys from the community who are just like so passionate about this work right along with us.
Right. Yeah.
It's really go ahead.
No, you please.
No, you.
No. Say what you're going to say. We can always come back. It's fine. Good.
So our programs focus on young people, and that's for several reasons. Very unfortunately, it's hard to turn a person's head and heart around if they grow up in a bigoted family, in a bigoted state, in an ignorant family or an ignorant state. And so we want to get to people while they're still young, while their hearts and minds are still open. We are not born with hate. We're born with an innate desire for connection. And so if we can get these kids, which is what we do at an early age, and teach them that everybody gets to be exactly who they are, and we are here to not just support that, but to cherish it, to promote it, to really be wholeheartedly, wonderfully inclusive, supporting, and cheerleading for everyone's identity. Then
Right.
we can have the world we want.
Right. Right. It's and to your point also, that's what we're raising money for this whole weekend, is for Glisten, the wonderful charity that Wilson Cruz is on the board of. He was actually here in LA just this week. I didn't even see there was a big event for it. So same thing, like youth,
Wonderful.
LGBT youth, raising money for them. I don't think people, I mean, it would be hard to, right, if you've never had to go through something like that where you're an LGBT child in an environment that's not welcoming. It's
Right,
hard enough as an adult, but you
right,
have more tools in your tool belt and more faculties to be able to get away from it, right?
right,
And when
right.
you're a kid, I can speak from personal experience, there's nowhere to go and no way to get away from it. And I think part of that problem too is that if you don't have, like you're doing, putting it in the school where you can look at it and they have access to it, you a lot of times in those places where they would go home and tell their parents, they won't, right? Because their parents are probably part of the problem as well, or at least not
Yeah,
understanding or not accepting enough, or
right.
maybe they are and the kids don't even know, right? Like I hear that story all the time where kids think like, oh, I can't come out to my parents, it's terrible, and they tell, and their parents are like, of course it's fine, what are you talking about? But it's
We
so
know.
hard.
Yeah,
It's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I don't know, I didn't know. Like, because once you open the jar, that's it, right? You can't go
yeah,
back and be like, oh, just kidding, I'm not gay anymore. So you can't, right? So yeah, so so it's so tough. So I think it's so important to get these kinds of materials and messaging out there, right? Even just
yeah.
so there's something there, and in your case, something tangible, right? Because you have the actual um, comics that you're sending out. Talk about that a little bit, also.
Thank you. We do have comics and a full video series created by
Yeah.
a neuroscientist who also is a psychologist, 2 doctorates, and who's from the community. And she has created an incredible video series. Her name is Dr. Janina Scarlett, and this video series is called Never Alone. And it's phenomenal. And it comes with a bunch of support tools and just a lot of encouragements that we could all use, frankly, every day. And so that's one of the tools that we put out there. But also, I'll say 2 more things. This work is filtered throughout all of our work. All of our work on mindfulness and self-compassion and resilience and identity, everything is really based in identity with our lessons, so that each child knows that they are special and beautiful and can be whoever they want. So it's all within all of our work, and obviously not just for LGBTQ kids, but for their
Oh
peers
yeah.
too. um, so that those are 2 wonderful pieces of our work. And the comic book, which was created by Raymond Litzter, and it's called Lights, Camera, Identity, Never Alone. And is it uses 4 characters from the cast of RuPaul, 4 queens from
Yes. Yes.
RuPaul,
I
and
know. I'm friends with at least a couple of them. So yeah, and
right,
they're all wonderful girls. Yes.
really fun and really heartful. And they've been through a lot. Like if you hear Silky Nutmeg Ganache, who's in the comic, or Jackie Cox, Pandora Box, Heidi in Closet.
Mhm.
All of these ladies are in the comic and they tell about their stories. And the comic basically follows a child who is just really having identity issues and being bullied and being really hurt by all of this. And the queens pop up kind of like I Dream of Jeannie or something, like, bing, here I am, here to tell you that you're worth it and that it does get better and life does not end in high school. And,
Thank
you know,
God.
right?
Yeah.
Well, we've all been there where we think it's horrible now and that's the way it's always going to be. And that's why I love the slogan of it, if it gets better.
I know. Yeah.
And it
It really
also,
does. It really does.
it really does. The
Let's
more
put
you
that
get,
message out there too. Like it really, really, really does. It's so hard in the moment to imagine that that's true and think about what the path out is and think about what different might look like. It's so hard, and especially for younger folks, right, who their brain is still developing, and this is all that they know, and like how can they even imagine something else outside of what they've grown up in since, every moment they've been alive on the earth, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, even just like saying the words, the mantra of the fact that it gets better, I
Yes.
know that it's so hard to believe that, but it really does, it really does.
Yes. Yes. Positive self-talk is one of the skills that we teach,
I love
and
that.
self-compassion, how to be as kind and encouraging to ourselves as we are to other people. A lot of us tend to talk to ourselves in ways that we would never talk to anyone else.
Right.
We can be brutal on ourselves, and that voice is something that we've either adopted from people who treated us badly, or just an innate sense of criticalness. Sometimes, in my case, it was Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just saying, I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
things that want to come in and judge us, and we have to be strong. And the truth is, yes, it gets better as you go through your life in time, and you get to meet people who are like you. You get to find your tribe. You get to meet people who get it.
Right.
And also, the truth is, we need to be there for that moment when it happens. I'm 16 years sober, and there's a saying that is in AA: "Don't leave before the party starts." And it is so true that there are good things around the corner if you take the right steps, but you have to be available. And a lot of times, myself
Right.
included, it's a battle to
It's
be
a
available. We
battle.
want
Yes.
we want to hide in our rooms, hide in our heads, hiding in social media, not get out there and be available to make a new friend or
Hmm.
give something back to the world because we're hurting, because
Right.
we're depressed, and the tendency is to close in on ourselves and to
Right.
isolate.
Right.
Drugs and alcohol also make us isolate. And
Right.
so the skills that we need to be able to get ourselves to a place where we can be in a place where it gets better are also really important. And you can learn those skills. Those skills are available.
Hmm.
Chances are, if you're hurting, you have a reason for it.
Right.
And if you've been treated unfairly, don't beat yourself up. Don't pile on yourself
Hmm.
along with the rest of those voices. Give yourself credit and say, "Yeah, that hurt. Of course it did.
Hmm.
I'm beautiful. I'm special. I have a right to be treated well."
Hmm. It's so true. It's so true. It does get better, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Which doesn't mean that for the rest of your life everything will be easy. It's just better. But still, you got to do the work.
You got to do the work. Yeah, you
You
got to
have to
do
do
the
the work.
work. But the good news is, if you do the work, there's such a beautiful world out there, and
True.
that is so important. That I mean, that LGBTQIA plus kids know, and it's also important for us to keep in mind. I mean, these skills that
Oh
we teach
yeah.
children, I'm all over these every day.
Yeah. It's hard, right? Because we still live in the same world,
Yeah,
right? It's not like we've moved to
yeah,
another planet, sadly, where the stuff doesn't exist just because we've grown up. Like it's still out there, and it's still affecting us. And part of also why I think, just from my own, like, witnessing it growing up. I think part of the another super important part of getting this stuff into the hands of kids earlier is that if you grow up and kind of don't have that, like I feel like you go one of two directions. One is the great one where you say, this is not going to happen to anybody else. Or the one where you say, I'm going to do this to other people because it happened to me,
right,
right? And
right,
I don't know what it is, right? It's either
exactly.
like a brain chemical, or it's just what happens, around you. I
Right.
don't know what it is, but that's usually where the things go, right?
It's so
Um,
true.
and if that doesn't happen, then we're just creating more, and like through no fault of their own, I'm sure. Like, I mean, everyone can, be mindful and do better, but like if they were never in that environment to begin with, they would never know to even do that to other people, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right. Again, we're not born with.
we're not born wanting to do that.
No, we're not born wanting to hurt each other. We say, and you've probably heard it before: hurt people, and
Yeah.
heal people.
Yeah.
And so there's something I like to say to people when I'm like maybe talking with a bunch of kids in a school, like, "Hello, what's your name?" "Well, hi, I'm Joey." "Hi, Joey. Here's a piece of shit. Now, are you going to take it? No, you don't have to take it. It has nothing to do with you. And so when you realize that this garbage, this bullying, this awful treatment that people are receiving, whether it's through legislation or through some church or through some idiot who just doesn't know how to be a human being, a decent human being.
There seem to be a lot of those nowadays.
Right. That's not you. It has nothing to do with you. That's all that's their shit.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
does, it literally has no connection to you.
It's
And it's
true.
really hard because we're sensitive human beings and we want to be open. And when we're open, then sometimes that stuff gets thrown at us.
It's in,
But
yeah.
but it's not yours.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so sad that it's going to be the sensitive people who would normally probably be out there doing good who were the most affected by that because they internalize it, I think, so much more
You
easily,
do.
right?
Yeah, you're empaths
It's
and you want to keep your heart handy. You don't want to be bitter
right,
like nothing can hurt you.
right,
You just have to recognize whose voice it is.
right.
Right? It's
Yeah,
not your
sure.
voice. It's
Yeah,
not a voice that matters.
yeah,
Now, where it does matter is that we need to bond together and speak out against this ridiculous legislation that's happening. And something like 550 bills have been brought that are anti-LGBTQ
yeah.
bills. I had some numbers in front of me.
Uh-huh.
Over 540 anti-LGBTQ bills have been introduced in state legislatures. This is where we need to bond together.
Having
And,
solved all other problems in the world, like
yeah,
they move on to this.
but
Like,
this is what we need to take to heart. Not when somebody says anything personally about us, but when we see that this is the kind of awful, just sickening direction that some of this country is headed in.
right.
With this new monstrous Speaker of the House,
Oh gosh.
the time is more important than ever that we bond together safely and make a stand
Yeah.
for everybody's right to be who they are, who
Right.
we
Right.
are.
Right. Yes, I agree. And I because of and not because of, but I feel like things are things are sort of crackling and bubbling right now with the whole like labor movement that's going on and people like
Yeah,
fighting for themselves in that regard and uh we're still on strike, but I, all of that stuff, like it seems to have picked up steam, and I'm
yeah,
hoping maybe that we can grab onto some of that steam for for this kind of thing, right? Where people,
yes,
we stand up, we band together and stand up for other people as well, not just our own job today. But we kind of saw that when like WGA happened and like SAG was like solidarity doing it. So I'm I hopefully maybe it can give us a
yeah,
little bit of traction and push it.
yes, yes, because
Because
we're
we need it.
all in this together. People who want to deny rights want to deny everybody's rights. It's not
Yeah,
just one group. It's not just SAG, it's the writers, it's everybody else in the industry, it's IATSE.
right.
It goes further than that. It's also, they want to deny restaurant workers' rights.
Yes.
And just to let you know, this is something you'll be hearing about the cast of Deep Space Nine. Some of us are bonding together with the Restaurant Workers Union.
Right.
Yeah, partly because we've all waited tables, and and partly because we just get it, and partly because Deep Space Nine had episodes where we talked about the inequity that is
Yes.
obvious in this world. And anyway, it's all of us. We need to all band together because
True.
everybody's rights are at risk. And
Yeah.
if we can create empathy in the world, the empathy and understanding will cover everyone's rights, right?
Right. It's why do you it's always baffled me, like why someone cares so much what someone else is doing that does not affect them whatsoever. Like there's a boy kissing a boy in the other room. It has nothing to do with
Nothing to
why
do
are
with
you
you.
so worried about it, you know? Like
Right.
if somehow overnight like everything flipped and we had their numbers and all of a sudden we started trying to take away their Bible, can you imagine the upheaval that would be? Like
No, no,
can you even imagine, right?
no.
We're not trying to do that. We're just like, just leave me the hell alone.
Right, right. Just being left alone, just
That's
to
all.
be.
That's
Yeah.
all. Why is that such a difficult concept? It's so strange to me.
Well, and then the concept that really should be happening, which is not just being left alone, but being celebrated.
Sure, sure.
Like,
Yeah,
oh my
and see
God,
how easy it is to push that down and be like, just leave. But no, you're absolutely right. It should be much more than that. Yeah.
how about peeking and saying, you guys are the cutest?
How about that? Like, yeah. But I think that's a really good point. Like, my brain didn't even go that high. I'm like, look, all I just want is like base level. Like,
Lisa, I know,
why
I
is that
know,
such a fight? Yeah, no,
I
you're
know,
absolutely right. It should be further. Yeah.
I know. And I just want to say, look at what a light you are, Randy. You are doing such beautiful work and you have for such a long time. And I think that if it weren't that you have pain in your past from school or whenever, I think you wouldn't be this strong. I think a lot of your strength comes out directly out of the fact that you have empathy because you've been hurt and now you're saving lives. And how cool is that? We can use the pain we've been through. Every superhero has this origin story where they come out of something that is really difficult and life-threatening for them,
Right.
and on some level.
Right.
And you've beat that part, and now you are flying
Yeah.
to the community, bringing everything you've learned, and that's pretty beautiful. And that's a reason to get out of our ruts. That's a reason to get out of our heads. That's a reason to use all the hurt we've been through and say, not me, not anymore, and not them either.
Yeah.
Not on my watch. I'm
Yeah.
going to use my pain for power.
Right. And I don't think, and thank you, first of all, that's incredibly sweet.
It's true. It's very
Um,
true.
but I think something that maybe gets by people sometimes too is trying to start something like that, um and not and thinking like, oh, I have to already like be happy and okay with myself to start some sort of work helping other
Oh,
people. But you don't, and that sort of
oh,
comes as you do it, right? Like,
yes,
once you start like doing other, and it could be something like so simple, like go like work at a soup kitchen, or like literally anything that any human can
yes,
do, right? And
yes.
it builds that for you. You don't have to come with that to the table, right? It builds
No,
that for you. And I don't think that people always think about that. They're like, oh, well, I'm so out and sad and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And my one day at the soup kitchen is not going to really help anybody, so why bother? But it helps you,
it
which
will
then
help
you can
you.
help other people, right?
Absolutely.
And it
Yes.
just builds that just for you. So obviously, it does help for you to go volunteer that one day. But I understand how maybe you don't think it's going to have a huge impact, but I think that it does more than, because that's when I started doing this. Like, I wasn't, like, I was okay. I wasn't, super depressed or super happy or whatever. I was just normal or whatever. But I keep doing this because it really does. Like, it really does
Yeah.
help me too, right? So
Yeah.
you don't want to feel like selfish saying that, but like, it really does.
It's
It really
true. Of
does
course
help
it's
you as
meant
well.
to.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's fair to enjoy that as well as doing the getting out there.
Totally. And yeah, absolutely. And you feel yourself blossom. And that's understandable because we're meant for connection. It's our tendency when we're hurting is to isolate, and it feels counterintuitive. I use the analogy of it feels like digging myself out of quicksand.
Yeah,
It feels like it's literally the hardest thing in
right.
the world. It feels like extracting a tooth.
Yeah,
It feels that hard and that painful to get myself out.
yeah.
And no one would guess that. You don't look at me and
Right.
think that.
Of course.
But catch me at 8 o'clock every morning. I fight the battles. I do. I fight
Yeah.
battles too. And
Hmm.
and I know on the days that that I win, which literally some days just means I get out of bed, I brush my teeth, and I do the next right thing. And
Yeah.
it doesn't even have to be working for a nonprofit, but doing the next right thing for yourself
Right.
will help you eventually in ways bigger than you can ever imagine.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's true. And there's a I don't remember I think it's the title of the book. I'm terrible about it, but I've kept the message with me, and not I haven't, like, not the whole thing around the book, but I think it's called Start Where You Are. And I have often thought about that, because it's like, you can't start 10 years in the future when you're already like doing the
Right.
thing, and you have to start just where you're at right now, and that's
Yes.
totally fine, right? Because what
Yes.
else could anyone possibly expect other than just start where you are? And
Exactly.
that's going to the soup kitchen one day or whatever it is, right? Or, I mean,
Yeah.
everyone out there right now showing up to watch this kind of stuff, even that is something, right? Because you know that we're doing
Yes.
this for a good cause, and you're here to support and do that. So even like sitting on your couch out there this weekend with us is a thing,
Exactly.
right? You're doing the thing, and it's great. Thank you. Love
Exactly. yes, baby steps are what it's
Absolutely.
about.
That's all
I
you
did,
can do, right?
yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah. I did a TED talk about founding the coalition. It's called How to Be More Powerful Than You Can Possibly Imagine. And it's about, and it's just right up there on TED or YouTube if you want to see it, but it's really about how here we are doing work on this really big scale. And literally, I started it in my bathrobe, sitting here in this little space, going, what can I do? I see these crises, and I want to do something to help. And I had no idea what it would become. It wasn't in this form or shape or even close to it.
Oh yeah, same. Like, well, yeah,
Same, I know. I'm sure that Glisten probably started with small roots too.
yeah.
And
Start
by
where you
the way,
are. Like, you got to start somewhere. Yeah.
right. By the way, we brought Glisten to their very first Comic-Con
Oh,
appearance.
cool! I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Awesome.
It was our first appearance. It was our launch event in 2013.
Wow.
And we had representatives there and somebody on our panel. And it was really quite wonderful to bridge that, create that intersection between justice on screen and justice in real life. And thankfully now there are so many more characters from the community on TV, obviously a lot,
Right.
but you've looked back, 10 years ago and there were very few. So,
No. Yeah.
all of this,
Yeah.
it just, it takes time, but head
It does
yourself
take
in the
time.
right direction, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah. It does. You're right. It does take time, and it's not. Also, it's not immediately rewarding all the time either. So
Mm.
you have to like have that, you like, as you know, the goal, like, this is, I'm going to do this, and this is going to happen, because yeah, you're it's not immediate, but it is definitely always rewarding in the end.
Oh, no,
But not
on a
immediately.
day-to-day basis on a day-to-day basis, it can be hell. I mean,
Yes, yes,
it's
yes.
I pretty much I back to where you started the conversation, I do this work literally 12, sometimes 14, 16
I was
hours all
only
day
half
long.
joking about the 23 hours a day. Like,
No,
I
it's often 10, and most often it's most often at least 10, very often 12, 14 hours, sometimes 16 hours a day.
mhm,
And it's because our work is growing really quickly, and because I do tend to want to keep it in within my grasp. I don't want to have other people doing this. We've got a small, tight team, and it works.
right.
But yeah, it can be lonely. It can, and so you have to force yourself. If you work at home, get out there. My gosh, let me just even just force myself to go to Trader Joe's or something. Sometimes it feels like that, right?
No, you just like, I know it's totally true. Like, I work from home, and so sometimes I'll just walk to Starbucks and get a coffee instead of making it, just because it, like, it gets me out of my head, gets me out of the environment, all the things. But
Yeah,
I'm even then I'm like, oh God, I have to put on clothes to walk all the way. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Jeez, wake up, just go. So
I
yeah,
know.
it's tough
I
though. Yeah,
know.
the inertia of the whole thing is difficult. Um,
Yeah.
you work so much, and so
Thank
hard
you.
and all the time, and i I really, my big push for today was for people to realize how much you're actually doing day to day. I know that
Thank you.
people, see you like on the stage or at a table or whatever, and it's hard to really, no one can put together, right, like how much any one person does outside of what they see today. But if they walk
Thank
past
you.
your table and see you on a laptop, it's because you're doing the work all the time, all the time. So I can
Thank you.
definitely attest to the fact that you're, uh, just working your butt off for
That's so
all of these
sweet.
wonderful kids who deserve it. But like, you don't have to give your time for that. You don't have to, especially not that much of it, right? Like, so
Well,
I want everyone to appreciate what goes into it, and
thank
not just
you.
also the end result, obviously, but
You're so
the
sweet.
work that goes
Thank
into it as
you.
well. Of course.
Thank
Oh
you
my gosh.
so much. That means a lot to me, and not just for me, although the validation is really nice. It's if that can help our work grow,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be doing this work if I didn't see it working. So,
that's true too.
if you guys,
Same.
if there's somebody out there that wants to get our work into a school of theirs or nearby, if you're a teacher or whoever, please email us. I didn't put the email down here, but the
I'll
email,
pop it up when I do it. Yeah, yeah.
awesome. Thank you. Info@popculturehero.org. And yeah, we're here for you. We want to help. Um, we'll send you a comic book. We'll send you tools, a link to supports. Yeah, it's exciting to be able to help.
I love it. I love it. Same, 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 same.
I
Um,
know, you're amazing.
oh God. I do stuff. It's,
Randy
but
does.
I do stuff. I do stuff. No, I love it too. I wouldn't, obviously, I wouldn't put this much time, effort, money, and
Oh,
blood, sweat, and tears into this
I know
if
you
I
do.
didn't feel like it was, one, the right thing to do and had absolutely zero feedback. But every time I'm somewhere and someone's like, thank you for just being in the room, it's like, okay, well, how can I not? Like,
Yeah.
how can I not?
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, and you've done big things. I mean, you produced the
I
first
scare
drag show.
myself. I know.
Huh?
I scare myself. Yeah.
Really? I mean, just like you produced the first drag show ever at a Star Trek con. And I think probably that's ever at a Comic Con, actually, because I've never seen a show at a
Like
Comic Con.
inside. Oh yeah, maybe
Yeah.
so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the things that you guys have done, raising money for older
Oh
LGBTQIA
yeah.
people, just the way that your
100%.
heart shows up. It's not about you. It's always about the work, and your beauty shines through. But you're really authentic, and that is what is so beautiful about you, Randy, and your team. And you,
Yeah, I have a really good. The team is. I couldn't do it without them. I often have to tell them, "Hey, remind me of this. Do this, and please help." Yeah, I
mm,
couldn't obviously do it without the rest of these kids. They're just amazing, and the same attitude, right? We're all here,
yeah,
and we all put our own time and money and everything into it, the same
yeah.
as you're doing. Like, we don't, every now and then, like, we, we are selling merch during this convention to make it accessible for people who can't come to
Oh,
conventions.
good.
So we do that, right, and that does help offset it a little bit, but it's certainly not a big chunk of it, much less all of it. So yeah, we're all, you, me, everyone, we're doing the thing to be doing the thing. So
Yeah, it's pretty incredibly cool. And I hope you hear more and more the comments of people that, whose lives you're saving.
I hope, I know that you do all the time, and it's great. It's
Mhm.
awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
Mostly I'm just here helping, but
That's fair.
occasionally
That's
we
fair.
do, and it's exciting, and I'm grateful.
Cool. Um, well, we're at time. Thank you for giving us this time and being here. I know that everyone, we're pre recording this, by the way, so we'll be in the chat talking to people. But I know that everyone is thrilled to see you, and loves when you show up to talk to us. So thank you, thank you, thank you,
Thank
thank you, thank
you. I just want to say thank you so much to you, Randy, and to this community for being who you are and for giving so much joy to the world and so much light and love and brightness and goodness. And I see your hearts, and I'm so grateful.
you.
So thank you for being
Of
you.
course. Of course. Thanks everyone for tuning in. There's more stuff coming. I don't know where this is going to end up, so you'll see what's coming up next. But thank you, and thanks again, Chase, for everything.
Thank you. Love you, Randy. Love you all. Thank you.